Hello, everybody. My name is Eugene Brown, and welcome to the first ever podcast that I am hosting. The podcast is called Stocks, Money, and Entrepreneurship, and we're going to be talking about everything that affects your wallet. And when I mean everything, that will be topics such as the stock market. We'll be talking about philosophies, concepts, trading strategies, longer term investing. Uh, we may even eventually get into options trading as well as some of the other things that have made me successful over the last couple of years. As it relates to money, we'll get into personal finance. We can talk about budgeting as well as insurance, um, as well as banking and lending. So we'll talk a lot as it relates to personal finances and strategies. And we'll also be diving deep into entrepreneurship. And that will include uh, items or topics such as bloggers, YouTubers, podcasters, affiliate marketers, network marketers, drop shippers, um, anything that would relate to a person being an entrepreneur. So those are our three topics. Tonight, we're also going to have a special guest. His name is David Frankl. He's the creator of the Perky Collar. He had a couple of rounds that he got through on Shark Tank, but we'll let him tell that story here at the bottom of the hour. Um, for those of you that do not know, as far as briefly my story, my background is in uh, marketing and finance. I used to work for the Vanguard Group years ago, had all of my investment licenses, and then also worked for Ameriprise as a financial planner. And I'm also a former Army officer, spent time overseas many years, and I have a degree in marketing from the University of Tampa. So done a lot of good things over the years. And what happened when COVID hit, I finally decided it was time for me to get back into trading stocks. I took just $5,000, turned it into $3 million within a year. As many of you know, bought a nice house, bought a lot of other items that the family needed. And now I'm continually moving the ball forward. So the goal for me would be to help people that are interested in trading stocks, help them learn at least what has worked for me. And I do that through a platform called Convene Communities, where it allows entrepreneurs to be able to create content. It allows them to create courses. It allows them to create paid access groups and products that they can sell. And it also allows them to become free affiliates where they can market other people's content and get paid to do so. So if you can copy and paste, I would encourage you to look into our free affiliate program. So now that I've talked about a little bit of the guidelines of what this weekly podcast is going to be about, I will also let you know where you can find me, either in the description box below after the podcast is over, and how you can access the recorded version of it in two different places. It'll be on YouTube, on my channel, as well as in the Convene podcast community. So there'll be places for you to go back and access some of the things that I personally talked about, as well as what our special guest is going to be talking about. And again, he will join us at the bottom of the hour. So what we're going to do now, we'll jump into the stock portion of it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the very thing that has made all the difference in the world for me as far as my success. And that is mindset. Everything that I have done with the stock market came from a change in mindset. And what I mean by that is the stock market is a place that I'll begin with telling you that will empty a lot of wallets if you are not careful. The stock market is a place where sometimes it feels like it's a zero-sum ball game. Somebody wins, somebody loses. but it's an exchange of value. And if you don't do the things that are necessary to manage that exchange, you're going to find that you're going to lose. And so having the right mindset about everything that you do in stocks, it will govern your actions. So to begin with, how do you think about money? What, between your ears, what is the thought process and your relationship with money? And a lot of times people's relationships can be destructive. It just depends on how they grew up, how their mother, father treated money. What did they lavishly spend money on you when you wanted something? Or were they a little bit more budget conscious and taught you the value of working for a dollar? So that relationship with money, how have you spent your money since you've been out on your own? Do you frivolously spend on TVs and shoes and clothes and vacations? Or are you more mindful of the money that you've earned? So when you think about your relationship with money, it's important for you to know how you are with money before you start investing money, because the stock market moves sometimes at a very fast pace, depending on the type of stocks you invest in. If you invest in stocks such as Facebook, IBM, Tesla, Spotify, Amazon, Google, those large cap stocks, they don't move as fast and they're a bit more manageable. But if you invest in stocks that are more aggressive and riskier, such as penny stocks, you certainly better have the right mindset and understand what you're doing. And that mindset, depending on what you're investing in, is going to, again, govern your actions. And again, what I mean by that, if you have the right mindset and the discipline, you will do the homework that is necessary, meaning after hours or before hours or throughout the course of the day, you'll be researching stocks. You'll be looking at the stocks in all time frames. You'll be, doing your homework on the fundamentals. You'll be doing your homework on the technical analysis. You'll try to understand sentiment. Are people bullish seemingly, or are they bearish? You'll think about the homework as it relates to how you enter a stock. If you have $5,000, do you initially spend $1,000 on the first purchase, maybe $1,000 on the second, if the stock is coming down, maybe $3,000 on the third? You'll do what is necessary to be able to ensure that you protect your money when the actual trade is in full swing. So, if the trade goes against you, say 3 to 4 or 5%, do you have a stop loss order already in the system in case you were busy? If you've got another job or another business, in case you cannot watch your money, it's the mindset, it's the homework, it's between the ears, it's doing what is necessary so that you can build your account balance. And hopefully all of this is making sense. The only way that I was able to take $5,000 and turn it into 3 million, I had to be right a lot. Just 7, 8 times out of 10, I'm just right. I understand what I'm doing. And I was good at taking the money. And so my balance would grow and grow and grow. But I was also good when I had to be with protecting the money. So if the trade went against me, I would execute a stop loss and get out of some things. What else as it relates to between the ears that I want to talk about? Some of those things would be, put my glasses on so I can see. Coping skills. Coping skills, what I mean by coping skills, some people don't cope well when they lose money. They get very emotional about what they're doing. And if they don't cope well in the stock market, that's not a healthy thing. That's not a good thing. It's the wrong place not to have good coping skills, because I can assure you throughout my trading days, there have been a lot of trades that at times have not gone the way that I anticipated them going. And whether that's through poor homework on my part, I've misjudged something along the way, or just something simply has changed with the company. News came out, but how did I cope with the change in the marketplace? And I'll give you an example. Let me share my screen here. Can you guys see my screen? Someone give me a yes.
Sure can.
Thank you, Zach. Let me slide this over. I don't want this initial first 30 minutes to be all me talking. This is a stock that I own a great deal of. And what I teach my members that I coach in 3 different groups, by the way, if you're watching this podcast later, I have a webinar that begins tomorrow evening where I'm teaching people the basics of trading, and I'm going to help them, slowly learn what I know that has made me successful. And that webinar begins tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. But I also provide coaching services at 3 different price points for those individuals that want more hands-on training. And then finally, I have what's called the stock store. If someone's looking for something specific, I haven't loaded anything in there yet, but all of that's beginning to get loaded here this week. So back to this particular opportunity. It's called Trans Global Group. It's a penny stock, so it's certainly more risky. And I buy a number of penny stocks. This is me personally now, because I'm more experienced, because the opportunity to make money is far greater than me buying IBM. But it is also far riskier. And for those of you that are watching this that may not be familiar with penny stocks, let me just give you an example here. Let me just show you. You could have bought this stock at 0.0026 on August the 2nd. If you spent $5,000 divided by 0.0026, you would have bought about 1.9 million shares. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks later, this stock hit 267, so times 0.0267. So that $5,000 is worth $51,000 just roughly 7 weeks later, however many weeks that was. And so the opportunity to make 10 times your money is incredibly great. So if we look at an IBM, to get 10 times your money in the same weekly time frame, there is no 10 times your money here. It's been trading in a channel since going back many, many weeks. And if I look at a monthly chart on IBM, well, going back several months, all the way back to January of 2018, you're actually underwater if you bought it then, because you bought it here in the 170 range, and we're currently trading at 143. So this is just one example. Obviously, the Facebooks of the world and the Teslas of the world, have certainly run. So if we look at Tesla, we've got a nice return on our money, 10 times your money here over the months. But getting back to TGGI, when I'm talking about mindset, so the stock ran up to almost 3 cents. And then it's proceeded to got sold off that particular month. Let's look at a weekly chart. Stock ran up. Last week, really ran hard. And then this week, look how you would have lost money if you were still in that stock and you didn't take the profits. And so this is a scenario where if you don't understand when you should sell, it could cost you a lot of money. If you don't understand when you should buy, it will cost you a lot of money. So I caution people, if you're watching this video on from a recorded standpoint, to either reach out to me or get a chance to join Stone Eye for free and to be able to participate in some of the free experiences that I have in there. But mindset, if I didn't have the appropriate or the correct mindset and the skill level, I would have probably sold in here somewhere or in here somewhere and would not have made money. But because I understood that the stock was reversing and I understood where to buy it in here, I made money here. And then I made money at the bottom again the other day. And then the stock bounced up. So mindset is a very, very important thing to keep in mind when you're looking at stocks. And mindset is a very, very important thing when you're looking truly at anything business related. So if trading stocks is something that interests you, again, reach out to me and we will talk about ways that we can help you learn how to put more money in your pocket. So that's going to be it from a mindset standpoint. We're going to get to our guest for the evening. Let me see if I can get him in here. David is going to join us. I'll wait for him to come on here. Let's see here. Let's see here. There we go. David, how are you?
Good, Eugene. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Our special guest this evening, and I'll read it to make sure I don't mess up some of the wonderful things that he has done, is David Frankl, a longtime friend of mine. We used to work together many, many years ago. David owns a company called the Perky Collar. It's an LLC. It's the clothing innovation company. The product he invented was the Perky Collar. I'll let him tell you more about that. David auditioned for the Shark Tank. He made it through the first 2 rounds. He and his son were on there, and he currently follows all of the sharks as well as the producer, and they follow him. And so he is waiting, hopefully, to get a call one day to invite him back. In January of 2015, he started his business and secured a company to develop the manufacturing and the product itself. He's been increasing his revenue and his global awareness and reach through trade shows, and has had a kiosk. If you're familiar with the South Park Mall, it's the nicest mall in Charlotte since 2018. In 2020, he launched the Perky Collar radio show podcast to help himself learn from his guests and further broaden his brand reach globally. The Perky Collar is in 366 stores globally. And of course, David is going to take that number much higher with each and every passing month. David, welcome to the show. So the first show we're having for the Stocks, Money, and Entrepreneurship. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. Always great to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you as well. Tell us a little bit before we get started about yourself, kids, family, married. What do you do? Where do you live?
Sure. I have 6 children, actually now 3 adults, ranging from 8 to 25. The oldest is married with a little girl, which I could spend 3 or 4 mornings a week hanging out with her and just seeing through her eyes and the world of wonder. It's just different as a grandfather or a I call myself a granddaddy. I figure I was a daddy for 25 years, like a piano. It's time to be a granddaddy. I feel like I've earned that title. And it's just a lot of fun. And so I really focus on quality of life. I've always made sacrifices in not doing the corporate job, in which I travel 7 days a week. I always wanted to be home with the kids, to see them play sports. All my kids played academically, athletically in the high school, and one in the college arena. And it was always important to me to attend as many of those games as I possibly could. So having kids of different age groups, I had one in elementary, one in middle, one in high school, two in college, and now, like I said, one that's married. I pride myself on being an active dad and being there for them, to support them in their trials and tribulations in sports, and being there to pick them up when they have a tough game, but also be there to give them accolades when they do a great job and contribute to the team.
Well, that is, I was gonna say, that's fantastic. And I would imagine, having your own business affords you the opportunity to control your own schedule and do all those wonderful things with the family.
Exactly. And, obviously a lot of high school games are early, especially JV, typically is 4:30. And you're just not getting out of corporate America until 5, plus the travel home. So you miss all those games. So by working for myself, I have the ability and the flexibility and the freedom to set my hours. And for example, my daughter just started playing softball, and I just switched my schedule. So I'm off at 4 on Mondays, and I take Thursday off to make sure I don't have to miss any games. So it's just a matter of setting those priorities and focusing on quality of life, because they do grow up so very quickly. And no matter how successful you are, no matter how much is in your bank account, you can't take it with you. And you hate for your kids to say, well, he made a lot of money, we have a lot of things, but he was never there.
Yeah.
It's a few to go to my grave with kids that felt like I was never there for them. And again, vacations are great, gifts are great, new cars are great, but if you're not there for them, you're not present for them when they have good times and bad times, and none of the money really matters a whole lot.
Yeah. I certainly concur with that. And I myself am doing the best I can to find the business family balance to ensure that I don't end up like the song, The Cat in the Cradle, where, you just were never there and your son just grew up, and before you know it, he doesn't have any time for you. And that's all he remembers, that you were always busy. So before we dive in, or we're going to dive in now, actually, everything that we talk about on here is with the entrepreneur in mind. So when I ask you a question, obviously, as I know you will, you'll give as much value as you can to help people think through the process of making money and entrepreneurship. So with that said, tell us about I got about 10 questions for you. Tell us about the Perky Collar. Where did that come from? I just spoke about mindset. Tell us, where did that get hatched from?
It really was just a problem that I wanted to solve out of my own personal frustration. My aha moment, as they like to call it, was one morning I was getting ready for a meeting. I was still doing online marketing for a company at the time. And I was taking my dress shirts out of the closet. They were heavy starched, and I put them on, and the collar was laying flat, kind of one up, one down. I think it was actually even total flatness, like something like this, if you can see those. And I just was very frustrated. I couldn't go to a meeting look like that. I always wear a jacket on top of it, so it always magnifies the problem. So I just looked to my bathroom for a solution. Couldn't find anything. I went into my daughter's bedroom looking for a solution, and I found a headband. And I said, well, maybe that'll work. And I kind of threw the headband in there, and I was looking for something simple, no flowers, no butterflies, just a very simple little piece of plastic that I could put in the collar to at least look good enough for the meeting. And then I work on a solution afterwards. And I found a very simple purple, I remember, happened to be the color of the headband, and think she was maybe, this is 2015. So she, that's 7 years ago, almost, I guess 5 years ago. So she was only 7 years old at the time. So her head was still kind of small in comparison to my neck. But I walked in the hall bathroom and looked in the mirror with that collar around my neck and that headband around my neck. And I was like, wow, this will work for the meeting. And ironically, when the meeting was over, I called a company here in Charlotte called Inventus, because the company I previously worked for in doing playground construction, the commercial playground equipment, we shared a space with Inventus. So I kind of knew what they did, which is helping bring products to market, and had injection molded machines, and they could do all kinds of prototyping. And that was the first place I thought of. And I called him and said, hey, Ryan Gorman, I have an idea to solve the droopy, saggy dress shirt collar. He said, very intriguing. Let's set up a meeting. We'll sign NDAs to make sure everyone's protected. And we'll see if it has feet. We'll see if it has legs. We'll see if it has an opportunity. And long story short, I went out and bought a bunch of headbands. I bought a bunch of dress shirts and took a bunch of dress shirt packing materials. And I kind of had a baby with a headband. And I wanted to make sure it was long tapered ends on top. I wanted to make sure it was tall enough to officially work. I want to make sure it was strong enough, but not heavy, because I knew that the neck was very sensitive. And lo and behold, after about 9 months of deliberation, 6 months alone in the box, trying to source a manufacturer, this was born. And we've now sold over 20,000 of them. And again, give you an idea what the product itself looks like. It's just a simple, let me get my angles right here. There you go. That's what it looks like. And then when you wear it, it looks simple like that. So long tapered ends on top. If I can, there you go. You can still see it sort of. Clear, it's a little tough. But it's long tapered ends on top, super lightweight, weighs less than ½ ounce. And it just simply goes under the collar. Let me shift the camera down a little bit so you can see my collar a little better. So all you do is lift the collar up, add the device. This is a rubber graham shirt. So it's a very nice shirt, but even a rubber graham, you can see how the placket likes to lay flat, the collar tucks under. It just doesn't look like a brand new shirt, and I've only worn it a couple times. So to use the product, you lift the collar up, leave your collar stays in, which keep collars from curling. That's one of the most common things I hear is, oh, I have collar stays, I'm good. But no, collar stays don't solve the problem of the collar drooping and sagging. Its sole function is to prevent collars from curling. And you see that difference in my collar now.
Oh yeah.
All the difference. And why would I wear a dress shirt and a blazer looking anything but that? And you can only buy so many new shirts so often. Why not have a tool that just makes every dress shirt look brand new?
I like it. I like it a lot. It's amazing that I had a conversation with a business partner, and we were talking about, it seems like everything that could be created should have been or has been created under the sun. And you're certainly, with your Perky Collar, are proving that to be false, because there's always somebody who's innovating, somebody who thinks outside the box. I was just talking about, mindset and between the years and why that's so important. And you created a product that solves a problem. And now it's just a function of getting that not only the message out there, but the brand awareness out there so that more people can buy it. Do you sell anything else? Because I think when I was out at South Park, did I see some logos of college teams, or what? Did I see some gear?
It's the product line has expanded tremendously. We started in 2015. I was the Perky Collar guy for several years. And by going to trade shows all across the country, I purposely didn't just focus on selling my product and that's it. I focus on networking with other people that could be strategic partners. So one tip I could tell all your listeners right now is collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. And collaborate is even more important than competition. Even though you're both competing for customers, as long as your product doesn't go after the same exact audience, as long as I'm not selling a competitive collar product, why can't we work together? And that's been one of our biggest success takeaways is in going to these trade shows, I met a guy that sells a device that's a pocket square holder, and that keeps pocket squares from unfolding and falling down. And it's a locking mechanism, so you're not just stuck using the square guard. You have to weave it through. You fold it however you like, you drop it in, and then because of the height of it, it goes all the way down the pocket. So that's a simple tool, and it's my same customer as the collar, because if they want their dress shirt to look nice, they probably don't want their pocket square falling down either. Another great tool we have is the collar stays. I've always wanted to partner with the collar stay company because you need the collar stays with the Perky Collar. So I found a company at let's see, where was it? Wichita, Kansas, I believe it was. And he created stainless steel collar stays that had 3 sizes. So we're able to embrace existing manufacturers like Banana Republic and Express have the short collar stays. Your Johnson Murphy and your Calvin Klein have the medium size, and then your Joseph Banks Men's Wear have the long. But what if you only have the small? What if you only have the medium? So to have all 3 in one container allows you to take your existing wardrobe and make the collar straighter and stronger. We also found belts that I've loved to death. It's a great solution. It's a holeless belt. The patent actually expired last year, so there's a lot of manufactured holeless belts. So I spent a lot of time educating people on different types of holeless belts and how there's difference in quality. Ours all have a really nice heavy duty buckle. I'll show it in the video there. See if I can get, there we go. It's a nice heavy buckle. And the track is also nylon instead of plastic. So Mission belts out there. And then this company is called Next Belt. They're out of California. But the track is nylon. It allows you to adjust 1/4 inch at a time instead of having to go up an inch or down an inch. And we all gain weight and lose weight throughout the year. We can't stop it no matter how well we eat, no matter how much we exercise. But not having holes simplifies the problem. Belt manufacturers want you to keep wearing belts that have holes because you're going to gain and lose, and you're going to stretch the holes. They become oblong, and they're going to crack and split. Or using this track system, it allows you to adjust 1/4 inch at a time. And now the belts look newer, long, fit better, and it's just a world of difference. So that's just a small sample. We started doing fashion accessories as well, besides the inventions. We have a lapel project, which allows you to change the lapel of a jacket. We have wooden bow ties, and that's been a great collaboration. We've created city skyline bow ties. We've created military and fraternity bow ties. We've created various colored moving gear bow ties. We have feather bow ties. We have your traditional self-tie, pre-tied, velvet, porcelain, glitter. We just have opened up the world of, hey, if you need a bow tie, come see me, because I really have every material out there for that occasion. Like homecoming's coming up this weekend for several schools and next weekend. And I want to be the place you go to for weddings and homecomings and proms and any occasion where you go into an event and you have to wear a black tie or you have to dress up, come see me. We're going to get something that's a lot of fun and different and help you stand out a little bit and not be like everybody else in the room.
Right. So speaking of coming to see me, that leads me into my next question. You're at the mall, and we all know of this company called Amazon, who seems to be taking a lot of mall traffic. Are you finding that the majority of your sales come from mall traffic, or is it online, or kind of what's the model that you're trying to really go after to make your business run at its optimum peak?
Yeah, I think Amazon, people are comfortable with Amazon. They have free returns. It's easy. Your credit card's already on there. Your address is already on there. So there's no doubt Amazon's taken everyone's online business, not completely away, but it's definitely taken a good chunk of it. And that's okay. So instead of fighting it, you have to just embrace it. So when I launched the podcast last year, I didn't really enjoy doing international shipments. So Amazon fills most of my international shipments for me. So that's kind of taken a burden away from me. So I found a way to make it a positive instead of a negative. A lot of my website traffic is people that have been to the mall, decide not to buy at that moment, then get home, realize they need my product, and they order online. Some may go to Amazon too, I don't know. And I have several resellers on Amazon because honestly, Amazon's great for the consumer, but they really are a pain in the butt to work with as a manufacturer. So I don't mind letting the reseller make a little more margin because they can deal with all the intricacies of Amazon requests and storage and labels and so on and so forth. And then the rest of it's just mall traffic because that's always steady. Despite the pandemic, the mall is still busy. Obviously weekends primarily, but there's still steady traffic during the week. Being in stores has helped a lot. Obviously during the pandemic, stores were closed. So my wholesale business dropped off tremendously. It's now picking up again, people back out. So that helps as well. So you kind of have several tiers of sales. You have the online sales, you have the stores that buy from me at wholesale. So I don't make as much margin, but I'm also magnifying and multiplying my sales staff by being in 366 stores. That's a lot of stores that can talk about my product that otherwise I would never have a chance to reach those people.
Right.
And they can see, feel, and touch the product. They can get an employee of a store to put it on your shirt so you can see the difference. Some things that you can buy online that you already know is a good product. You read the reviews, oh, I'll give it a shot, whatever. But a lot of things I have at the mall are unique. They're different. They're limited. They're numbered, especially the wooden bow ties. So a lot of them you have to see, feel, and touch. And not everybody's great with color coordination, so I'm there to help them. My main focus is give exceptional customer service. The best way to build a great brand is to be the best brand in your segment. So yes, there may be other collar products out there. There may be other bow ties out there, but there's no one that's going to give a better customer service when it comes to color coordination and making sure it's going to fit right and making sure it's going to work with the pocket square. And I'll fold the pocket square for them and just helping them look their very best, looking like $1 million. And sometimes I even push them outside their comfort zone a little bit, which I think we all need to be, especially as entrepreneurs. The more comfortable you are, the less you're going to grow, the less you're going to be successful. So when it comes to dressing, I like to encourage guys to get away from that just a black tie look. Just because you're going to a black tie event doesn't mean you have to be a square peg. You can be a round peg in a square hole going to an event and stand out a little bit. Maybe you change the material. If you want to stay black because that's your comfort zone, then go black velvet, go black blingy, go black glittery. Just have something fun. Right. If you choose not to wear a tie or you choose to wear an ascot, well, then put my invention under your collar to make sure you can actually see the ascot. So I think it's all about diversity, understanding why you go to trade shows. It's not just to sell. You can't just focus on how much money you made at the trade show. It's the relationships you create at those trade shows. It's the business owners you meet. It's who they can introduce you to. I mean, there's several people that I've met over the last 5 years that have turned around and said, oh, here's a store I know real well in Virginia, give them a call. They're expecting your call. They don't have to do that for me, but when you develop great relationships, the network starts to sell for you, which is fantastic. And this repeat business is great. Even if it's just wholesale, the repeat business is just extra money for you. But ultimately, I think retail is the way to make the most money on your website or in person, because you get full retail price. Wholesale and just selling wholesale is tough because the margins are so slim. The retail wants to make the bulk of the money. So I highly recommend, if you're going to get into the product business, Amazon should be a piece, wholesale should be a piece, and retail should be the biggest piece if you want to be profitable.
I like that. Hopefully you guys who are watching this live and also watching it on the recorded version, that you guys are taking in the value that David's offering you guys here. One of the things you said, David, was you have to be uncomfortable. And I know that when you have a lot of mall traffic, obviously you've been doing this for years, you're going to have to engage people as they walk past. Tell the audience a little bit, just expound upon it a little bit more as to the value of engaging people and what that may lead to, not only from a collaboration standpoint at trade shows, but just that 30-second elevator pitch, if you will. What has that meant for you and your business over the years?
Well, it's huge. I mean, not everybody's going to stop and talk to you and look at your product. I mean, I think in general, the kiosk has a bad reputation because of all the Dead Sea Scrub people, all the hair curling people. Many people just want to avoid making eye contact. Well, guess what? The first thing I'm going to do is make eye contact, because I know once I have your eye contact, I can at least touch on very quickly within about 10 or 15 seconds what problems we solve. And hopefully, if any of those problems resonate with you, you'll stop and at least listen to what I have to say. You don't have to buy right now. Obviously, we'd love for you to, but you don't have to. Just know I have a solution to problems that you have. And a lot of times I'll step into my office, so to speak, which is step towards the kiosk. And then I can explain to them how this great tool stops your collar from laying flat. Let me show it to you. One of the tools I learned as well is to use the people that are with them to help them see the value as well. So if a young man's walking with his wife, I'll say, ma'am, would you mind being a judge for me? And she'll say, sure, because your opinion is the only opinion that matters. Am I right? And everyone says, that's exactly right. Okay, continue. So I have the man hold a mirror so he can see the resurrection of the collar right in front of his very eyes. I pop his collar. Actually, I make sure he sees the before first, and always adjust it. He always tries to fix it, make it look better. Like, no, don't fix it before. We'll just see it exactly how you walked up to me. So there's your before, and I kind of glance at the wife. What do you think? She's like, not so great. No problem. We're here to fix it today. I pop the collar, drop the Perky collar down, put the collar down on top. I make sure it's even, and I simply look at the wife and say, ma'am, what do you think? And most times, I'd say 9 out of 10, she says, looks much better. Now, as a man, how can you say, I don't want it, when my wife has said I look much better? It's done. So the point of it is, if the man doesn't realize there's a problem, and the man doesn't realize it looks sloppy, at least he can count on his wife to give him the honest truth. Right. And she now becomes an assistant salesperson with me. But the bottom line is, you got to be personable. You have to say good morning. You have to say good afternoon. You have to be willing to get rejected. It's okay. Every failure, every no means if the next one's going to be a yes. The probability is there. It is a numbers game, but not a numbers game where you're hardcore selling. You're there every day. They can see you this week. They can see you next week. They can see you next month. But if they have a problem and you have a solution, why not solve the problem now? And some people are ready, and some people are spontaneous and impulse buyers, and some people want to process. And one thing I learned from my podcast is a gentleman talked about 3 different types of people come up to your kiosk. Some that already know the information and just want you to validate it. Some that are impulse buyers that are looking for whatever that you have that they may want to get right now. And other people that are just thinkers. They have to process. They don't have any information. They're simply there for information. You're not going to sell them. So don't push them. Just give them the information they want, give them a card, and hope they'll come back. And those guys either go on the website later on in a non-sales environment and buy on their own, or they come back when they're ready. I can't tell you how many people get back in line at the kiosk, holding the Perky collar and say, I'm ready now. I was like, I'm glad you're ready now. You do it when you're ready. So you can't change how people buy. You have to just embrace their style. And if you can have the wife there, the girlfriend there to reinforce how much better it looks, that always helps. But again, I think a kiosk is just a different model. You don't ever grow up and say, I want to work at a kiosk. That's never your dream come true. But the kiosk is a great way to get in front of a lot of people. They're on the way to much bigger brands. They're on the way to the Apple store, the Louis Vuitton store, the Gucci store. They advertise, they have the big brands. That's what drives the traffic. No one's coming to see me. Maybe 3 years later they are, because now I've built a relationship with many customers. But initially, no one's there to see me. And that's humbling when no one's there to see you. So the only people that are going to stop and talk to you are the ones that you engage with. Same with a trade show. One of my famous quotes about trade shows: you're a nobody until you become a somebody. And yes, you invented something, that's great. Nobody cares. Nobody's there to see you. So understand that the only money you're going to make is the money you earn by grinding it out, by hustling, by talking to people, not being hardcore salespeople, but just engage with as many people as possible. And you never know who turns into an order or turns into a sale, who knows somebody, or hey, why don't you call my friend? He has a store in Charleston. Give them a call. That happens to me all the time too. So I'm able to expand my retailers by the engagements and the relationships, the conversations I have that aren't salesy. They're just me trying to help people. When you help people, the sales just come.
Yeah.
And we've grown month after month, year after year, because we just take care of people. They know I'm not there to sell them. They know I'm there to help them. And when they're ready, I'm there to help them.
Yeah, that leads me to a couple of things. First, when you said, you're there to help people without being salesy, you're just trying to inform them so that they can make it pretty much an educated decision. I don't know who said this. I don't know if it was Jim Rohn, where he said, find a way to serve the many, because service to many leads to greatness. The more people you serve, the more your income can grow. So find a way to serve the many, because service to many leads to greatness. So I certainly appreciate those comments. The second part of it was, you said nobody grows up or wishes to be in a kiosk, if you will. Tell us a little bit quickly about what was it like to secure the kiosk at the mall? Because years ago, I'm not sure we worked at the same time, a guy named Bhuvanesh from India. He and I were looking at getting into South Park Mall, or what was the other mall? Probably the Pineville Mall out there, Carolina Place Mall, to be able to sell Indian sort of garb, dresses, and headwear, because he had a direct connection to one of the suppliers over in India. So we were kind of looking at the cost of doing business in a kiosk at the mall. What is that like now? Are there favorable pricing for folks now because of the mall traffic has shrunk? Tell us a little bit about that process.
I can't share my exact monthly fees
Numbers,
because we're not allowed to do that. But I can tell you, the more unique you are, the more you can negotiate. The mall's going to kill me for saying this, but I would say that most people pay between $2,000 and $5,000. But the more you're a dime a dozen, like you're a cell phone repair people, they're going to charge you $7,000 because they can't. If they don't put you in there, they're going to put someone else in there. And obviously, everyone's got a cell phone, so there's a high demand for that type of business. So the key is to be unique. I wouldn't waste any time going to a kiosk unless what you have is unique and they can't get anywhere else in the mall. And that benefits you too, because now I have all the big box stores where they don't have a bow tie, they don't have a pocket square in their store, they'll send people to me because they want to help their customers. And leads me, since you just had a great quote, I'm gonna follow up with another quote, which is from Zig Ziglar. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
And that's probably one of the biggest components of myself and my staff, is just take care of people. Don't feel like you're selling them, educate them and help them look their very best. And if they know you truly care and you want to see a picture of them once they're all dressed, and you want to share that with people and they're proud of how they look, and you can kind of walk them through the experience of once they get dressed. Like a customer in St. Louis, I sent him a St. Louis skyline bow tie. I said, what was it like when you watched the church on Sunday? He's like, it was amazing. I thought I was the mayor. People walked up to me and said, is that wood? Holy cow, that's amazing. Where did I get that? He said, oh, I got it in Charlotte. You can't get it. He didn't want to share where he got it because he liked having something that's unique and one of a kind, and he got the first one ever made. What else can you go to the mall and find the first one ever made? You can't. So being unique and being different and being willing to stand out is the key. So to go back to your question, a kiosk, you can do a 1 month rent, you can do 3 months, you can do 6 months. I started out December 6th of 2018, the day after my birthday. And it was literally, I was supposed to go to lunch with my son, and I delayed him a half hour because I was at the mall longer in this negotiation process. And I thought it was gonna be $7,000, $10,000 a month. I wasn't gonna spend that. And at that time, she said, we want something different here in December. There was tinderbox couch on my space. And I just said, tell me what you want. What can I do that makes you happy? And again, if you let people get what they want, then you typically get what you want, which is another great quote.
Right.
So she simply said, I want you to move in as soon as possible. Okay, I can move in tomorrow. She's like, great. And how long do you want me to stay? I was thinking a week, 2 weeks around Christmas. She's like, well, I'm out of town until January 4th. So I'd love for you to stay until January 4th. And December is the most expensive month to be in the mall. I mean, hands down, it's the most traffic. They're going to charge you the most. So if you're going to start, be prepared for the bigger rent in December. But the rest of the year is a relatively reasonable rent, but it will go up in November, December, just because they expect higher traffic volume. So those are two things I'd advise you of. Be creative, be unique, have things they can't find anywhere else in the mall. Negotiate. Don't just think that whatever number they give you, you have to go with that. There's also overage. So you have your rent. Based on your rent, they take a percentage of that and determine a goal for you. So it ranges, I think, from 12 to 17%. So you take that number, divide it by 12%, 15%. That's your goal for the month. So whatever your goal is for the month, however much you go over that goal, you got to pay them an overage of that amount. So for simplicity, let's say my goal is $10,000 and I do $15,000 that month. I pay them a percentage of that 5,000 over the 10,000.
Yeah.
So my rent is not just rent, it's rent with overage. And that's common in a mall situation. So obviously you want the rent as low as you can, but then you get slapped with a lot of overage as well. So you want to find that number that's a sweet spot where you know you're going to get that revenue, but hopefully not much more than that revenue. And you want also stability of your revenue from month to month so that you're not coming under the goal and paying extra in rent. So it is somewhat of a puzzle you got to play with. If you have experience in a mall that helps you figure out that number, I did not. So my first month in December, we did $10,000. But considering I had no idea what to expect, I thought it was pretty good and no one saw me before. And then obviously January, February, those are lower months. We didn't hit our goals. We did 6,000 and 5,000. But from there, we started hitting 10,000 every month through the summer. And then we peaked again November, December. This year, we've done 15,000 to 17,000 every month. And then we expect to be 15, 20, 25,000 in December. So, we should do $200,000 this year at the mall, where we did 100,000 last year, even with the pandemic. So the goal is to continue to see progress and growth. And a lot of kiosks don't make it because either they don't have the right salespeople or they don't have the right product. So it's really important to have both those things really well calculated and have people that are willing to talk to people. You can't just sit at your kiosk on your phone and expect to make $300,000 a year. It's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah. We won't keep you. We've got just a couple of questions that I have left for you quickly. But let's ask Greg or Zach or Greg, do you guys have any questions for David that relate to your business or something maybe you want to ask him about his business or? Please, Zach, Greg.
Well, there's that.
So how do you keep traffic coming in? I own a landscaping company. I know it's a totally different thing than where you're at with the mall thing, but how do you keep clients coming in or whatnot?
That's a great question, Zach. And I actually used to work for AAA Window Cleaning and Window Solutions, and they had that same exact situation. They're trying to do gutter cleaning. They were trying to do pressure washing. They're trying to do what else? Gutter cleaning as well. Gutter cleaning, window cleaning, and pressure washing. And it just comes down to advertising. One of the reasons I chose to go to the mall is because I didn't have to pay for advertising. I do social media on a regular basis. Anytime new products come in, I post on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Tumblr, even have a TikTok page. So being active in social media, those algorithms, those hashtags really helps get people to find your page. And when it comes to a service industry, you just got to get out there and make sure you give your happy customers, your loyal customers, a chance to scream from a rooftop. So maybe giving them an incentive to give you a referral. Maybe you give them a discount on the next service, and they can refer you to a couple people. Maybe you ask them to put a yard sign in their yard after you perform the service, so other neighbors can see that they had that, that they used your company for that service. Maybe you door knock, old-fashioned door knocking. Maybe you go 5 houses east, west, north, south from the house you just did the service and say, hey, we're in the area. We just did this service. Anytime you need that service done, we'd love to come out and take care of it. If you'd like to talk to your neighbor as to how much they liked our service, feel free to knock on their door. Those are the things I learned from AAA window cleaning, is just to get out there. The magazines are hit or miss because most people throw those magazines in the recycling bin. Yeah, it's a waste of $500 to $750 a month. Most people don't look at newspapers anymore. No one looks at the yellow pages anymore. It's really online marketing. And one of the things I did for 5 years is I understood online marketing space. The Google ads and making sure your website is accurate and making sure your website has specific pages dedicated to your services. So it has what's called a quality score. So it ranks well. So when people are searching for your service in Charlotte or in Columbia or in Atlanta, you're the first one that pops up. And then from there, just make sure you have great customer service. I know lots of people that own businesses that had never spent a penny on advertising, but it's also because they have survived on word of mouth. It's a little slower that way, but there's no reason you can't run a successful business without advertising. But if you're looking to really ramp it up and get a business going quickly, you're going to have to spend some money on advertising and be consistent. Just like you see the Pepsi logo and the Coke logo, doesn't change much. They know those colors, they know that logo, and they're looking for that. So make sure your trucks have your logo. Make sure all the advertisements are consistent. So if they see the truck, they see the billboard, they see the coupon, make sure it's all the same so they know exactly who they're looking at every single time. Zero Res does a great job advertising the radio, and we actually just happen to use them. It was just repetition. I kept hearing Zero Res over and over and over again. And my wife finally said, hey, it's been a long time since our carpets are clean. Guess who I thought of? Zero Res.
Oh, wow.
And they came out and did a great job. And I actually did a recommendation or a review for them on their Facebook page and on Google, just as a thank you, because I know how valuable that content really is. So give your customers a chance to scream from the rooftops by doing reviews, by giving referrals, and just get creative with that. And it saves you a lot of money by doing it that way too. I hope that helps.
Thanks for the info.
My pleasure. Thanks
for the question, Zach. Two quick things, David, because we're up against the 8 o'clock hour. Tell us about Shark Tank, what that was like. And then finally, tell us how we can how we can find you and how the folks that eventually watch this, how they can maybe order a Perky Collar, either online or see you in person.
Sure. So the Shark Tank experience was awesome. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't have high expectations since it's such a big show and such a highly watched show and so on and so forth. But I did it for the experience. I figured, you have nothing to lose. Like we talked about earlier, get outside your comfort zone. Auditioning for a TV show is definitely outside my comfort zone. So I brought my son with me. He was 15 years old at the time. I filled all this paperwork online. I had to have this big packet of information filled out. It did a great job of helping me think about the marketing I'm doing. It got me thinking about my number of customers. They ask a lot of questions to help them get a sense of how big is your business, how big of an audience will tune in when you're actually on the show. So the audition was a lot of fun. It was a long day. We got there at 8 a.m., got in line. I think my badge was like 150 something, 152. We came back like 2 hours later. I took my son to breakfast. We came back, waited around another couple hours. We sat in this big room, listened to some different lectures. Finally, at 4 o'clock, you're talking 8 hours after we arrived, we had 5 minutes. We walked into a room with a producer, and I set up my retractable banner, just like you see behind me. And I gave my 30-second, maybe 1 minute elevator pitch. And my son said, when you look good, you feel good. And that was his part. Right. And I just simply showed demonstration like I did tonight. And after that, they said, great. You're very personal. Your son's good looking. I'm like, well, hopefully that helps. Didn't say I was good looking, but at least he was good looking. So I guess that's good. Be good looking if you can. That's a message there. And they said, we'll call you if you're interested. So then you wait. That was on a Saturday. On Monday morning, I get a phone call. Congratulations. Welcome to round 2. Here's what we need you to do. We felt you were one of the top 10% of all the companies auditioned. So that was a nice compliment. I then had to do a video and edit the video and send it to them via whatever, FedEx, UPS, whatever, but they had to have it by a week later. If they didn't have it by Tuesday to close the business, my application was then null and void. So you got to hire a videographer, you got to write a script, you got to record it, and you got to give them time to edit that script. I did that video. So it was a little bit of a stressful week just because, I fortunately had some people in mind as who was going to hire for the video if I did get onto round 2. But you just don't know how the video is going to go, if it's going to rain, if it's, things are going to come up, life happens. But we ended up shooting on a Sunday, which didn't give him a lot of time to edit. He was able to edit by that evening. And then Monday morning, I picked up the edited thumb drive. I sent it to him FedEx next to air, and that's it. So then you wait. So 4 weeks later, I'm still waiting. 6 weeks later, I'm still waiting. I finally did what they said not to do, which is call. And I simply said, hey, I'm so sorry to bother you. I know you said not to call. My son comes home every day after school and says the Shark Tank call, and I say no. So I was just curious as to, if we're a yay or a nay. She's like, let me check. She goes back. She says, I'm so sorry to tell you. The answer is no for now, but don't lose faith. Most people don't get through the first time they try. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep building your following. Keep selling your product, and we'll be in touch. If we do decide to invite you to round 3, you don't have to start over round 1. Next is a call with a producer, which is the easiest round. They just want to know if they can get into your life, meet your family, meet your spouse, meet your your neighbors, your coworkers for the background story. And then round 4, they fly to LA. They film for a day. They film for 3 hours. You're in and out in the same day. Unless you obviously audition late at night, then they fly you out the next morning. But it's a pretty quick in and out. They take those 3 hours, boil it down to about a 10-minute segment, and then they kind of look through all those segments they've recorded to decide who's best for TV. I think they said it's easier to get into Harvard right now than it is to get on Shark Tank. So
I love Shark Tank.
I don't have all my apples in that cart. However, it would be great to have a deal with Damon John and maybe even do a franchise deal with Mr. Wonderful, a licensing deal with Mr. Wonderful to get it in the shirts already when you buy the shirt. And then to answer your question, how do you get the Perky Collar? Several ways. Feel free to go to the website, which is Perky, P-E-R-K-Y, like you see behind me, Perky, LLC.com. And then that'll get you a list of all the stores across the country that carry the product. You can also buy it on the website. If you don't want to, if there's not a retailer near you, you can definitely go to the website. If you live in Charlotte or traveling to Charlotte soon, you can definitely come to South Park Mall. Between Toomey and Francesca's, the best entrance is Maggiano's and Cheesecake Factory. Come see me. I'll show you all the different innovative products we have, as well as all our fashion accessories. And then also follow us on social media, like I mentioned earlier, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Tumblr, TikTok. And I even have a Snapchat as well. My kids are all on Snapchat. They said, Dad, you got to get on Snapchat. I'm like, I don't snap, but I'll figure it out. So again, outside my comfort zone, you got to live there. If you're not outside your comfort zone, you're not growing your business. So that's the last message I want to leave is, no matter what you're doing, product business, service business, get yourself on social media, post, hashtag everything, create as much content as you can so that the algorithms and the organicness of Google searches put you at the top for whatever that category is that you provide a service for. So it's not an easy space to be in, whether it be product or service, but you got to do the content. If you have to hire someone, hire your kids, hire a neighbor, hire college kids, do an internship, do something, but you got to have that content flowing all the time. And it's just so crucial.
Very good, David. Thank you so much for being here on obviously short notice as well. May not be obvious to our viewing folks that will eventually watch this on the recorded podcast, but thank you for the short notice. Thank you for all the value you've provided tonight to our guests. And hopefully some folks will get out there and buy the Perky Collar. The next time I see you, I will without question buy a Perky Collar. And then let's look to do this again at another point when we have a larger audience as well, to be able to talk about those things that will help put money in an entrepreneur's pocket, to help people with better business skills. And eventually, hopefully all of it will pay off to come back to you. The good we do today, hopefully will show up for you at another point. So thanks again for everyone that tuned in, Zach, Greg especially. This has been the first installment, the first episode of the Stocks, Money, and Entrepreneurship podcast. Stay tuned for after this particular podcast for some little outros, and then we'll see each of you and hopefully a lot more folks next week, next Tuesday on episode 2. That's it for tonight, and trade well. God bless, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Eugene.
You're welcome. Thanks.